Okay. Good morning, everybody. Dear children, myself Jabin Sultana. I'm your English lecturer. I will be taking English classes for you, both the textbook as well as the grammar. Today, I will be taking you the first lesson of your textbook. The first lesson, The Gentleman of the Jungle. This is your first lesson, which I am going to teach you. Here, before starting the lesson, I would like to ask you about the Panchatantra. I think you all know the stories of Panchatantra. Animal related stories, forest related stories, moral stories, and so on. So I need not have to give a detailed explanation about the Panchatantra stories. Even the small class level, 5th class, 4th class level children, they know what is Panchatantra. Animal based stories. In initial days, there were so many comic books and so many other books, story books. Now you can see in so many cartoon Panchatantra stories. So usually small children like to see those stories, but they are very beautiful, neat, problems related in the jungle and the king, their own way of lifestyle. These are the things we can understand. Who is the hero and who is the rival? All these things we come to know about. Who is the clever or who is cunning animal? All these things we come to know in this kind of stories. So today we are going to read the first lesson, The Gentleman of the Jungle. Let us know about the author, who is Jomo Kenyatta. Before starting the lesson, I'll just give you a brief introduction of the author. Jomo Kenyatta, he was born in the year 1893 and died in 1973, was an African political leader, first president of Kenya. He was a political leader and the first president of Kenya. Kikuyu, he was one of the earliest and best known African nationalist leader. As secretary of his tribal association, he was the secretary of the tribal association also in 1928. He accompanied for land reforms and African political rights. So you know about the Africa. As soon as you talk about Africa, you know the apartheid policies. How in India there was the policy of high class society and the low class society. How there was the classes divided, the superior classes like the Brahmins and then the Kshatriyas, the kings. Brahmins are very high status, very high educated class people with very dignity. Then comes the Kshatriyas, the kings. Then come the Vaishnavis, that is the merchants. And finally come the Sudras, that is the low caste people, the Dalits, the untouchables. Same wise there was a policy in Africa, apartheid policies. You know, black and whites. Nelson Mandela has fought for it. Even Mahatma Gandhi also has supported for it. So black and white, how the whites suppressed the black and ruled over on Africans. So he was the leader of that and he has fought for that. Based on some story like that, he has given a Panchatantra story, that how the whites has occupied the African land and how they have ruled upon it and how finally they have suppressed the caste and finally how these people have faced the problem and finally fought and chased these people out, eradicated these people out. So this is also a kind of story. How in India also, when British East India Company they came, other foreigners also invaded to India and they ruled upon us, and finally the Britishers stayed back here and they ruled over for 200 years. They just came for trade and ruled for 300 years and we became the slaves of them. They did the divide and rule policy and finally we became the slaves. And very late in 1857 we realized that no, we have to throw these people, and it took around 90 years to just eradicate these people, to quit, how Mahatma Gandhi has said that Quit India Movement Act. So like that, here also a story is something related to that act. Before starting the lesson, I would like to tell you the story of this lesson. Here is a friendship between a man and the elephant. They both were the good friends. Here they are telling that in this story, one day a man was living in a very small hut, and it was not a very big building and a huge house, very very small hut where only he could accommodate. There he was living, and this elephant and the man, they both had the friendship. One day it was a huge hurricane, that means rain with the storm. Okay, very heavy rain. That time the elephant came and asked to the friend, as you are my friend, I would like to take a help from you. If you just allow me to put my trunk into your hut so that I could save myself from this storm. Then this man said, okay, in this my small hut, I don't have for you completely to accommodate the place. The hut is so small where you can't come inside and accommodate completely. We both can't accommodate together, but I can help you out to accommodate your trunk to just get into my hut, and you can save your trunk from this hurricane. Then finally he agreed, and gradually he put his head, and finally he himself wholly come inside the hut and throw away the man outside in the hurricane. There was a huge argument between man and the elephant. The man who grumbled, and all the other animals started hearing this argument, and finally the jungle king lion, he roared, what is happening here? Because he wants justice, peace and harmony in his kingdom. And elephant also was one of the minister of his commission. Then this elephant said, nothing, it is my friend and myself argument. We are just discussing, we are not fighting. We both are friends. Then but still the lion wants to have a inquiry commission. So some animals, they are the members of that inquiry commission. They came and they sat and they had the meeting, because the jungle king, the lion, asked to arrange the meeting. Once the meeting was done, if the elephant said that in a very different way, that due to hurricane, this small hut was blown away. So my friend, who was a man, asked me to help me out in this bad time. That's the reason I went inside and saved his hut. After hearing elephant's story, the man was called, and the man was said, is it true that you both are friends, and did the elephant save your hut? The man said no. But he was about to say, explain the things, but they said, no, we don't want to hear anything from you. We have come to know, we have inquired enough. So they didn't give the chance, they didn't give an opportunity to speak to the man. This was the injustice done, and they said that, okay, elephant, whatever elephant is telling, it is the right thing. You go and find another space and build another hut for yourself. Then this man, poor man, without any help, because he doesn't want to become a bite of these animals, furious animals, all are wild animals. So he said, he agreed with the opinion given by the commission. He went and he constructed another hut. Then some rhinoceros and leopard, like all the other animals started coming. This story went on in a chain. Every time they were telling that we are protecting this man, so we are taking these huts, and each animal occupied the huts constructed by the man. Finally, in the end, the man, he said a word that every time I can't be foolish. One time I could be fooled, but not every time. So he will have a master plan in his mind, and he constructs a very big house, and in that, first elephant comes inside, because due to the dirt of the animals, their own huts were very dirty and very much exploited. So this elephant comes in, then other animals following up him, everybody comes in one place. And when they are individual, they are good. When they come together, they will fight with each other. So they started fighting with each other and blaming on each other. There was a big dispute and big arguments. That point of time, this man, he put the oil, and he just burnt the big hut, so that all the animals burnt into ashes. And then onwards, the man lived happily. So this is the story narrated here, explained here, and the moral of the story is anybody comes into us and they occupy. Same thing happened in Africa. These Britishers, they came, they occupied the land. They occupied the land of the Africans with some treaties asking them to sign. And these Africans, unknowingly, they have signed the treaties which stated that these lands which they were living on it and they were using for cultivation, for agriculture purpose, for farming purpose, that was taken by the Britishers and being utilized for their own purposes. And these people who are the real owners of the land became lame, they became helpless. So they ruled for years together, and finally one time come, they made fools. Finally one time came, then they fought and they just thrown out these Britishers outside. So this is the story of the real world explained in the Panchatantra style, using the animal kingdom, using the jungle concept. So I will read out the lesson for you and I could give you the better idea of this lesson. So see here, in pre-reading activity, narrate a story from the Panchatantra where good prevails over evil. Always your good deeds will just, any evil is been done, your good deeds will come forward. So here is the story. So many moral stories are there in Panchatantra. Either you can read or you can watch a Panchatantra story from your net. Now, in the late 19th century, the chief European powers divided Africa among themselves. They could do this because Europeans were superior and because the African chiefs did not understand the meaning of the treaties they were asked to sign. Unknowingly, they were not knowing what does this treaty mean, just they asked to sign it. As a result, Africans lost their lands they had traditionally lived on and cultivated. Their own land, they were the owners of the land that was being taken by these Britishers. Their attitude towards European expansion is made clear in the following fable, which reflects the attitude of the Kikuyu people of Kenya towards European laws and commissions. How they made their own laws and how they made their own commissions, which used to only help their own people and their own community, but not the Africans. Same thing here also happened. How the jungle king and the ministers of the jungle were supporting only their own jungle animals, but not the man. Once upon a time, an elephant made a friendship with a man. One day, a heavy thunderstorm broke out. The elephant went to his friend, who had a little hut at the edge of the forest, and said to him, "My dear good man, will you please let me put my trunk inside your hut to keep it out of this terrestrial rain?" So when the thunderstorm was broken out, and the elephant comes and asks the help from the man, "Can I put my trunk into your hut so that I could be saved from this rain?" The man, seeing what situation his friend was in, replied, "My dear good elephant, my hut is very small, but there is room for your trunk and myself. Please put your trunk in gently." So this man, he was a very good and very simple man. He said, "Okay, my dear good friend elephant, my hut is very small. You cannot accommodate completely, but I could help you out with putting your trunk into my hut. Myself and your trunk, we both can accommodate in this small hut, but you cannot completely accommodate. I could help whatever the help you are asking for me." He was asking only that he wanted to put his trunk into the hut. So the man agreed and he gave the permission to do it. The elephant thanked his friend, saying, "You have done me a good deed, and one day I shall return your kindness." What is elephant saying? You have done me a good deed. Okay. And one day I shall return your kindness. But what followed? As soon as the elephant put his trunk inside the hut, slowly he pushed his head inside and finally flung the man out in the rain, and then lay down comfortably inside his friend's hut, saying, "My dear good friend, your skin is harder than mine, and as there is not enough room for both of us, you can afford to remain in the rain while I am protecting my delicate skin from the hailstorm." So whose skin is delicate, man or the elephant? Elephant's skin is much thicker than the man. But what he is telling, my skin is delicate, I cannot stay in the thunderstorm. You are very hard, your skin is very hard, so you stay in the thunderstorm. Initially what he asked, I just only want to put my trunk to save myself from this rain. Then finally he pushed his head and he flung the man, he thrown the man outside the hut, and he came inside the hut completely protecting himself from the rain, and man was being thrown out of the hut in that heavy hurricane. This happened, no? How did the Britishers came to India? They said only for trade purpose, trade and business. But what did they do? Initially they started with the trade. 100 years they were doing the trade. All the other colonies, also the French, the Dutch, the Portuguese, everybody came for the purpose of trade. And gradually they started ruling. Why? In India there was the rule was of the kingdoms. Different kings were ruling and each king was the enemy of the other king. They were fighting and they want to annex their kingdom. By seeing this, the weakness of the kings, finally these people, they decided to rule over India. After getting the weaknesses. Here also, they know this man's weakness. See the elephant, what he has done. He has thrown out the man here and he has occupied the entire hut of the man. The man, seeing what his friend has done to him, started to grumble. The animals in the nearby forest heard the noise and came to see what was the matter. All stood around listening to the heated argument between the man and his friend. The elephant in his turmoil, the lion came along roaring and said in loud voice, "Don't you all know that I am the king of the jungle? How dare anyone disturb the peace of my kingdom?" So after that the man started grumbling. And there was a discussion between these two, the elephant and the man, and the other animals started hearing their conversation. Then finally, the king of the jungle, the lion, roared in a loud noise and he asked, "Who is disturbing the peace of my kingdom?" On hearing this, the elephant, who was one of the high ministers in the jungle kingdom, replied in a soothing voice and said, "My lord, there is no disturbance of the peace in your kingdom. I have only been having a little discussion with my friend, and here as to the possession of this little hut which your lordship sees me occupying." So he talks in a very soothing voice because he is one of the high ministers in the jungle kingdom. So he is telling in a soothing voice to the jungle king, "I have only been having a little discussion with my friend here as to the possession of this little hut which your lordship sees me occupying." So nicely he is telling to the king of the jungle. He is not telling what mistake he has done. He is only telling that this is the thing he has said. The lion, who wanted to have peace and tranquility in his kingdom, replied in a noble voice, saying, I command my ministers to appoint a commission of inquiry to go thoroughly into this matter and report accordingly. So what the lion is telling? What the lion is telling here? I command my ministers to appoint commission of inquiry. So he wants an inquiry commission. So he is giving a command to all the ministers to arrange for an inquiry commission on this matter and get the report accordingly. He then turned to the man and said, "You have done well by establishing friendship with my people, especially with the elephant, who is one of my honorable ministers of state. Do not grumble any more. Your head is not lost to you. Wait until the sitting of my imperial commission, and there you will be given plenty of opportunity to state your case. I am sure that you will be pleased with the findings of the commission." The man was very pleased by these sweet words from the king of the jungle and innocently waited for his opportunity in the belief that naturally the hut would be returned to him. So after saying to the animals to arrange for the inquiry commission and get the report accordingly, the lion turned to the man and said, "Don't worry, everything will be all right. We will come to know and we will try to give you a very good opportunity. We'll give you a chance to give the complete explanation about your problem, and we will solve your problem in the better way." And this man, after hearing the sweet words from the lion, he was so happy and he was so pleased, and he was innocent also, that he accepted these things, and he was waiting for a chance that after the inquiry commission his hut would be returned back to him. The elephant, obeying the command of his ministers, got busy with other ministers to appoint the commission of inquiry. The following elders of the jungle were appointed to sit in the commission: Mr. Rhinoceros, Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Alligator, the right horn, Mr. Fox to act as chairman, and Mr. Leopard to act as secretary to the commission. So these are the animals. 5 animals were arranged as the members of the commission. On seeing the personnel, the man protested and asked if it was not necessary to include in this commission a member from his side. So the man asked, "Can I include a member from my side also?" But he was told that it was impossible, since no one from his side as well enough educated to understand the intricacy of jungle law. So what they are telling, nobody from your side, from human beings, are educated to know about the intricacy of the jungle laws, the rules, the laws of the jungle. An ordinary man cannot reveal it. They don't know the rules. Further, that there was nothing to fear, for the members of the commission were all men of repute from their impartiality in justice, and as they were gentlemen chosen by God to look after the interest of race less adequately endowed with teeth and claws, the man rest assured that they would investigate the matter with the greatest care and report impartially. So then this man, what did he thought? Unnecessary if I just be rude to this jungle commission members, finally they may not tear me or eat me, because they all are wild animals. Unnecessary, he doesn't want to lose his life. So he said, he agreed. Okay, fine, carry on. The commission sat to take the evidence. The right horn, Mr. Elephant, was first called. So who has been called first? Mr. Elephant. He came along with a superior air, brushing with his tusk with a sapling which Mrs. Elephant had provided, and in an authoritative voice said, "Gentlemen of the jungle, there is no need for me to waste your valuable time in relating a story which I am sure you all know. I have always regarded as my duty to protect the interest of my friends, and this appears to have caused the misunderstanding between myself and my friend here. He invited me to save his hut from being blown away by a hurricane. As the hurricane had gained access owing to the occupied space in the hut, I considered necessary in my friend's own interest to turn the undeveloped space to a more economic use by sitting in it myself, a duty which any of you would undoubtedly have performed with equal readiness in similar circumstances. What this elephant is telling, see, I was invited by this man. I was invited by what happened initially in the story. He was not invited. He himself came to the man and asked for the help. But now he is telling the man invited him so that his hut should not be blown away in the hurricane. To protect his hut, the man was being asked to come here. See the difference, the way how he is talking and putting up the things. So I went and helped my friend so that his hut should not be blown away. I helped, in fact. Like that he is telling. He is not taking that he has taken the help from the man. After hearing the right honorable Horn, Mr. Elephant's conclusive evidence, the commission called Mr. Heine and other elders of the jungle, who all supported that Mr. Elephant had said. Then they called the man, who began to give his own account of the dispute. But the commission cut him short, saying, "My good man, please confine yourself to relevant issues. We have already heard the circumstances from various unbiased sources. All we wish you to tell us is whether the undeveloped space in your hut was occupied by anyone else before Mr. Elephant assumed his position." The man began to say, "No, but." So they were called, everybody talked in the favor of all the animals. They talked in the favor of elephant only, because they all belong to the same community, the jungle community. But the man was from other community, and they didn't allow any of the human member to come in the commission, inquiry commission. They only took help from all the jungle animals. And finally, when the man, he said, "We will listen to you." But here they were not giving a chance to talk also. But at this point, the commission declared that they had heard sufficient evidences from both sides. See, the man didn't given the chance to speak up properly. Now they are telling they have heard sufficient evidences from both sides, and retired to consider their decision. After enjoying a delicious meal at the expense of the Great Horn, Mr. Elephant, they reached their verdict, called the man and declared as follows: "In our opinion, this dispute has arisen through a regrettable misunderstanding due to the backwardness of your ideas. We consider that Mr. Elephant fulfilled his sacred duty to protecting your interests, as it is clearly for your good that the space should be put to its most economic, and as you yourself have not yet reached the stage of expansion which would enable you to fill it, we consider it necessary to arrange a compromise to suit both parties. Mr. Elephant shall continue his occupation of your hut, but we give you permission to look for a site where you can build another hut more suited to your needs, and we will see that you are well protected." So now they are telling, let this hut remain for the elephant only. You find another place, another site to build a new hut which helps you to give you all your basic needs. The man, having no alternative and fearing that the refusal might expose him to the teeth and jaws of the members of the commission, did as they suggested. But no sooner had he built another hut than Mr. Rhinoceros charged in with his horn lowered and entered the man to quit. So then he thought, if we say no for this decision what the Jungle Commission has taken, he might be torn and eaten by the wild animals. So he agrees for the judgment because they are very powerful and this man is not powerful. So he agrees for the judgment and build another hut. As soon as he constructs another hut, Mr. Rhinoceros, he comes and he says, okay, I am occupying this place. Again the same inquiry commission takes place. Again the judgment is given in the favor of Rhinoceros, and again the man is asked to build another hut. Likewise, he is being asked to build so many huts for so many animals. Every time he builds a hut, a new animal will occupy the space. Then he is asked to build another hut. Like this, it keeps on going. A royal commission was again appointed to look into the matter, and the same finding was given. This procedure was repeated until Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Leopard, Mr. Hind and the rest were all accommodated with new huts. Then the man decided that he must adopt an effective method of protection, since commissions of inquiry did not seem to be of any use to him. He sat down and said, Nag enda ti nidegaga motige, which literally means there is nothing that threats on earth, they cannot be trapped. Or in other words, you can fool people for a time but not forever. So the animals they are thinking that, okay, this man is very weak, we are very strong and we can tear and eat this man. He can't do anything just to save his life, he will be obeying us. Seeing this, they don't know the capacity and they don't know the strength of man, and they don't know the mentality what God has gifted. So by seeing this, they are thinking that he is a fool. So they started fooling him. Now he also says that we can be fooled for a time, but not forever, but not every time. Early one morning, when the huts already occupied by the jungle lords were all beginning to decay and fall to pieces, so it was decayed. Animals, they will not clean the area, what they do, shit and all. It was being decayed and it started falling into pieces. He went out and built a bigger and better hut a little distance away.